I don't know what they were thinking. The one thing the producers don't like is when you try and bamboozle them.
Okay.
And they will try and ruin you.
Brendan, Natasha, Pieper. Oh my God. First of all, real quick, what's in that weird green drink that everybody drinks?
So I don't know, because my season, the big drink on the beach was Red Bull and white wine. That was our drink. I know. It was actually pretty good though, because you try to stay awake and alert, but also get a little tipsy.
I like a Red Bull vodka, but white wine?
Yeah, Red Bull, white wine. I think it was Hannah G's drink, and we all just kind of started drinking that. So maybe that's this season, somebody created this green drink and everybody loves it now. So.
All right.
Maybe Wells is some kind of genius behind the bar. I don't know.
We'll have to ask him one day. Yeah. Brendan and Pieper, obviously, the weeks before she got there, they were talking about it. It was coming out. UsWeekly shout out from Pieper. We did break the news of their relationship back in June, hearing that they weren't going on Paradise. Clearly, we were wrong about that part. And they had been seeing each other since around April. That's just what we heard. Who knows? Only they know. And who knows what's the truth, since they both told very different stories on the actual show. But she walks right in and doesn't even pretend. Do you think that they didn't have a plan, or she went rogue on the plan? What was the plan? So,
great question. I don't know what the plan is, and whatever plan they had planned didn't work. They muffed it. I think maybe they had a plan going in, but once you're in that environment, and she's been quarantining for a minute. I bet she was in quarantining for 4 or 5, maybe close to 7 or 8 days with COVID and everything, and then first few days on the beach. Those producers can get to you, man. Those producers can get to you, and I'm sure, I don't know what their plan was, but if the producer over 5 days somehow convinced her, don't waste your time with the other guys, just go for Brendan.
Right.
Don't waste your other time, and she was good idea. Yeah, by the 5th day, she's that was my idea, that's how good they are. And so I think Brendan looked surprised. Brendan was shocked. The look on his face was wait a minute, we're off script. But I don't know what they were thinking. The one thing the producers don't like is when you try and bamboozle them.
Okay.
And they will try and ruin you. They will try and ruin you if they feel like you have tried to one-up them or whatever, go over their head. And I think that's exactly what happened with Pieper and Brendan.
And Brendan, throughout the episode, one thing, the follower conversation, which we'll get to, is one issue. But the stuff he was saying about Natasha and the calling it a coincidence that Pieper got here, the saying she has selective hearing, that kind of stuff, let alone the stuff he said behind her back, is just lying to her face. And that is actually gaslighting, whatever, that big buzzword these days. But that trying to tell someone that they experienced, what we all watched happen, didn't happen, is just he couldn't have played it worse.
Yeah, 100%. So the way I look at this situation, Brendan's not the first person to have a quote-unquote relationship or girlfriend going on the show. You had Demi do it. You've had some other people in past seasons. The thing is, yes, that's frowned upon. It's kind of the unwritten rule. You shouldn't do that. But had he just owned it, and had he just, both of them just kind of been we f***ed up, you're right, we were super into each other, we should never have came down here, but we did, here we are. I think at the end of the day, they're still in a Bachelor Nation relationship. They are clearly into each other, they're cute together. I think they would have survived. But then it was Brendan kind of just digging his hole. And I was to the point where I was just curl up in the fetal position and just take it. Because the more, it's like quicksand. The more you struggle and you try to get out, the more you sink deeper and deeper. And he got tangled in a bunch of lies, it seemed like. And so I think, and then not only that, but then they're little conversation they had off camera or whatever, or that quote unquote off camera, but it was clearly on camera. They were mic'd up. It was just hard to watch, just being guys, you got to stop. It just got worse and worse for them.
Do you think when they were talking about followers and they were kind of laughing at each other and he made that comment about Natasha having no prospects and it kind of seemed like he was talking to someone else. Mm-hmm. Do you think they because I feel like they had to know they were being filmed because everything's filmed. So that would be kind of giving them almost too much of a pass. I feel like they thought that it wouldn't air because it's breaking the fourth wall too much. So they figured they could talk freely. ABC would never want to blow up their own game with the follow, because you guys hinted that stuff, but this is the most I feel like the show has ever really broken the fourth wall, especially with the influencer stuff. You talk about you're here for the wrong reasons, you talk about you want to be the Bachelor, but it's not always explicitly I had 84K and now I have this. This was the most influencer Bachelor BS I feel like I've seen on this show. So do you think they just thought it wouldn't air? Do you think they didn't think they were being filmed? What the hell were they thinking?
Yeah, good question. So I agree with you as far as this is I've never heard people actually, this does happen though. there were people on my season who were talking about followers and podcasts and like things like that. It does happen.
Your season was podcasts. Everyone was talking about their podcast growth.
Yeah. So it does happen. These conversations happen. And they're not the first people to have a conversation on the beach about followers and who has the most followers, blah, 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 blah. But I don't know this is the first time they've aired anything like that, which is kind of shocking. That's why I think Brendan having a girlfriend back home would have been enough. Like, I think he would have been the quote unquote villain. And that's why I think the producers were like, no. You tried to bamboozle us. We're going to destroy you. And they did. They showed everything possibly wrong that Brendan said. Like, and he said a lot of wrong things, but he's not the first person to do it. You know, the producers were like, no, that's going on, that we're showing that. And so there's the one thing I'll say about Paradise compared to like Bachelor and Bachelorette, there's so much going on. There are different storylines everywhere. So sometimes you're like, I'm not the main character. Like this, not only are they not filming me, but like they don't care about me. So there's times in that, because I remember when I was going through my drama, it was kind of like, obviously at the very beginning I knew, well, I'm the main character. I was like, I'm going to be all the episodes. But then later on, like I remember saying some things and I was like, I can't believe they aired that, because like I wasn't the main character. So there's just so much going on sometimes that you kind of forget that, they could use literally every single thing you say. And they do. They really, really do. So it's kind of crazy down there.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, to go back really quick, the conversation that the two of them had on their date was also confusing to me, because it seemed like he was trying to hint to her, that Brendan was trying to hint to her, like, I'm trying to make us look better, but you're not taking the bait. And then she almost got like upset really quickly when she realized that he was like dating someone else. I don't know if they just were again on such separate pages, but she had to know that he was like, had to be seeing someone to like play the game. And he did, only like kiss Natasha once from what we've seen. Who knows if that's even true, but like, I just wonder what was the disconnect there? Was he just trying to like give her hints that they like are doing, like, are going to look bad, and was she just not getting them? Cause then she was like, okay, you're my boyfriend. Like the whole thing was so weird.
So I think she was like, I don't know what she expected. So the way it works, you're in the hotel quarantining. You don't know how long they've been on that beach. Like, she could have thought she was coming in the second day. You don't really know. So maybe she was shocked, like, wait a minute, you've been down here, 3-4 days. You've kind of built a relationship with Natasha to a degree. I think maybe it did hurt her. And she said something, I can't remember exactly what she said, but she said something like, you're downplaying. Yeah, she's like, you're downplaying our relationship. And he's like, I kind of had to. Like, he was like, I can't be like, hey, I'm just waiting for Pieper over here. He's like, I wouldn't be here. Like, you'd come down and I wouldn't have been here. I would have been gone home. So, yeah, I mean, do I think he played Natasha? 100%. I think he played Natasha keeping that rose and staying down there. But at the same time, the producers would not have let him go home. Like, this was going to be the villain storyline of the season. So, I mean, I think now looking back, he knows that. I think he would have been like, oh, they're not going to never let me go home. I didn't have to play anybody, But at the end of the day, what he did was wrong. And what Pieper did. Like, Piper's not innocent in this either. I think they both were in on it.
Yeah, and I think they picked the wrong person. I mean, anyone would be the wrong person to use, but I feel like Natasha's definitely got some Bachelor Nation connects. And I think this might have more long-term, not damage, I guess, but effects than they might think, because, I mean, we're seeing I watched the follower count. I can't lie. It was wild in real time to watch it go down. He has surpassed Natasha officially in followers, which, followers aren't the most important thing in the world, but it's clearly a symbol of how the world is feeling about the situation.
Yep.